see like the wheels turning in his brain, thinking, wow, Westerners eat really strange food. They put really strange things on their yogurt. Heard of this idea of like white people food, but I didn't know it was so interesting. In the end, I realized I had made a mistake. This kind of mistake, though, is fine. This kind of mistake is normal for anyone learning a language, I hope. The bigger problem I've had has been with my slow progress, with my own personal frustrations with the language, where even doing everything right, even listening to Chinese podcasts, even practicing my flashcard tests on the tube, on the train every day, even going to Chinese class and watching Chinese movies and listening to Chinese songs, I still wasn't progressing at the speed that I thought I could be. Things were still difficult. Things were still incomprehensible. And I really began to wonder, is it worth it? Is it worth studying? Is it really worth studying? And I didn't want it just to be this idea of, I'm continuing only because I've spent so much time and I've spent so much energy and so much money. I didn't want that to be the reason why I was still studying Chinese. I didn't want that to be the reason why I was still working hard. I wanted to make sure I had other reasons and other motivations to make sure that I was keeping going. Because this idea of sunk cost fallacy is a real thing. Sometimes people continue doing things just because they've spent time, just because they've spent money, even though actually quitting would be the sensible thing. This thought was even further compounded to me by two things. First one was that for a brief period of time, I did give up and I started learning Russian instead. And Russian is not an easy language. However, for me, having learned Mandarin for so long and going to Russian, I thought, wow, this is so easy. This has an alphabet. I could spend 2 days learning all the letters and the sounds they make, and I could just read everything in Russian. I could read a Russian book. Okay, I didn't know what the words meant. I couldn't understand the book, but at least I could know what the sounds were. Whereas with Mandarin, again, I've been studying it for 10 years. I can read maybe a children's book, but there are still words, most of the words, I have absolutely no idea what they say. Even if I have learned how to say them, I have no idea how to read them. And for me, this has been a very, very big, consistent problem. The other thing that really made me consider whether this language learning journey should be stopped was I met a lot of Westerners who'd also given up. Either people who'd come here to China and honestly never tried. They went to 1, 2 Mandarin Chinese classes and then thought, nope, this is too difficult. I'm not going to continue doing this. Or even people who'd been studying for several years and, like myself, hadn't made the progress that they wanted, hadn't had the results, hadn't seen the results that they wanted to see. And they had given up. And I thought, wow, I really, really need to find some reasons for myself to continue this. So I sat down and I thought of three main reasons why I'm still continuing my Mandarin learning journey. So, my first one is the most obvious. I live in China. Here I am, existing in China. And of course, speaking Mandarin has serious life benefits. It makes it so much easier to travel, it makes it so much easier to interact with my neighbors, it makes it so much easier if anything serious happens, which unfortunately it did. A few months ago, I was hospitalized. I was in hospital for a week. I had to have surgery and then significant aftercare. And this experience would have been impossible if I didn't speak Mandarin. No one in this hospital spoke any English, which I find hard to believe, but it is true. And I was left there, effectively on my own, although the maths teacher here at Nanjing did come to visit, where I was in a position where I had to understand. I had to understand the doctor's instructions, I had to understand what was happening to me, I had to understand how to look after myself after my surgery. This would have been, at best, very difficult, at worst, dangerous if I hadn't been able to speak the level of Mandarin that I currently am able to. And it certainly improved my Mandarin while I was there. So, this is the first thing. The first main reason is I live here, I get lots of benefits out of studying Mandarin, from life in general, and of course, I love living here, and I want to continue to live in China, so that's my first main reason for studying. My second reason is personal relationships. Mandarin enables me to get to know my students better, get to know my colleagues, get to know my neighbors. Also, it allows me to engage with different interests and make close friends via that. I'm very lucky that at my gym, I have developed a very, very close group of friends. Here they are. This is the four of us doing the Shanghai Sparta challenge, which for those of you who don't know, you just crawl through mud for 3 hours, and supposedly that's fun. We look happy only because we have finished, not because we did it. I'm also pretty sure that crawling through mud for 3 hours is what caused my infection, which ended me up in hospital in the first place. But sometimes Mandarin gives and sometimes it takes away. But I would not be able to have my relationship with these people if I didn't speak their language. For the most part, these three people do not speak any English, and I consider them to be some of my best friends now. I would not have that opportunity to get to know them and build that personal relationship with them if I didn't speak their language. And my third and most important reason why I'm continuing on this journey is my students. Of course, on a more obvious level, learning Mandarin helps me understand my students' native language, helps me understand their cultural background. But the key reason is it gives me enormous empathy for their own language learning journey. All of my students here at Nanjing are studying to go abroad, studying to go to Western universities. Their TOEFL score for them is the most important thing in their life. They are all dedicated to learning English and have also been learning it for 10 or more years, the same as me. And it enables me, my own language learning, my experience with Mandarin, enables me to understand their position. It gives me empathy for when they make mistakes. This was exemplified yesterday very clearly when I had a student who has been helping to arrange this TED Talk message me saying that we had rehearsal, so this was yesterday, and she said, oh, we have rehearsal today, meaning yesterday. We have rehearsal today at 11. I thought, that's strange, I thought it was on Sunday. So I got in a taxi and I got dressed and started going to work, and then she says, oh, no, I'm sorry, I used the wrong word, I meant tomorrow. So I got out of the taxi. I can't possibly be mad at that student because a month ago, I made the exact same mistake in Mandarin to the security guards, the Baoan, here at Nanjing, where they said, oh, 老师你有一个快递. I had a package that I needed to collect. And I said, again, very confidently, because I was going home, so I said to them very confidently, oh, 谢谢, 我昨天会来拿快递. I will get the package yesterday. And then I walked away, very confidently. 5 minutes later, of course, I was like, oh God, 明天. I meant to say, 明天. But I said, 昨天. Am I stupid? What's wrong with me? But it gives me empathy for when my students make the exact same mistake. I can't criticize them. I can't call them lazy, or I can't say that they're not trying hard with their language when I am making the exact same mistakes that they are making. And as well as giving me this empathy and making sure that I can't dismiss them, potentially it enables me to help them. Because from that point of understanding, like, I know what you're going through. I know how hard it is to learn this difficult language. I can potentially support them better. And to me as a teacher, that is the most important thing. So, to conclude, I would say that it's so important to understand that when you're learning a hard language, which I think pretty much everybody in this room is, it's a personal journey. Don't just continue it for the sake of it. Don't just continue it because somebody is telling you to do it. Find your own reasons. Find the reasons why you want to continue it. And understand that there's so many people around you who are in the same situation. Everybody who you feel is doing well, is succeeding in this language. Firstly, it doesn't mean that you are not. It doesn't mean that you are slower or faster. Don't worry about that. Focus on your own personal journey. And as you can see, if you can feel pride in any of your classmates, if you can think, oh, they're doing well, then you need to feel pride in yourself. And I can see that with my students too. Whenever they make mistakes, all I can see is, oh no, you're doing so well, this is not easy. And then I can think about that for myself. It's not easy for me to have done what I've done. And even though my progress has not been as fast as I wanted it to, I still have tangible progress. And if I'm telling my students that they should be proud of themselves, then really, I should be proud of myself too. Cool. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.